Amara and Liwei sat together in silence, with him embracing her and holding her tightly. Realizing that it might be getting late, she glanced at him and asked if he could take her back to school. Liwei remained silent, just holding her as if he didn't want to let go. She called out to him again, and this time he turned his gaze to her. Locking eyes with her, he asked if she didn't want to go back to his place with him. Amara hesitated, but Liwei leaned in closer and told her that he slept better when she was by his side. Amara, with a small smile, nodded and agreed to go with him back to his place. They both walked away together and drove off. After freshening up, Liwei made his way to Amara's room to give her something to wear. As he approached the room, he caught sight of her standing inside, struggling to unzip her dress. He hesitated to step in, watching her in silence. His eyes lingered on her, taking in how perfect she looked, how every part of her seemed to have swallowed him whole. A yearning he had never felt before surged within him, his emotions swirling uncontrollably. The hunger, the desire, the ache inside him deepened with every second he looked at her. Her beauty, her radiant skin, her perfect figure. All he could think about was pulling her close to him. Unable to control himself, he stepped into the room. Amara, still unaware of his presence, continued struggling with her zipper. He placed the clothes on the bed and stood behind her, gently touching her hands. Amara, startled, tried to move away, but Liwei remained behind her, leaning in close. His low, firm voice, filled with emotions she couldn't explain, told her to sit still, that he had this. Amara stood there, her heart racing from his presence. She could feel his warmth, his scent, the steadiness of his breathing as he moved even closer. His hand gripped her waist tightly, pulling her toward him as his other hand slid to her zipper. Slowly he unzipped her dress, his hand never loosening its hold on her waist. He wasn't even doing much, but the simple act made her entire body weak, a feeling she had never experienced before. The zipper slid halfway down, and she felt him gently slipping the dress off her shoulders until they were bare. Her heartbeat quickened. The room was silent, yet his actions were louder than words. His fingers trailed slowly along her back, caressing her so tenderly that shivers ran down her spine. In her mind, morality urged her to tell him to stop, but her body betrayed her, giving in to his touch, weakening under the gentleness that made her knees tremble. Liwei, still standing behind her, struggled to control himself. Something had taken over him, an overwhelming yearning that made him want her so badly he could no longer hold it back. His fingers continued tracing her skin as his thoughts spiraled, the heat in his body unbearable. For a moment, he was on the edge of giving in completely. He wanted to tear off her dress and have her in every way possible, to feel her body on his. But then reason forced its way back. He reminded himself of the promise he had made, not to get too attached, not to let himself be swallowed by the world she pulled him into. He knew that once he went further, there would be no turning back. Slowly, with effort that weighed heavier than desire itself, he released his grip on her waist. Leaning closer one last time, he told her to freshen up and join him in the living room. Then, without another word, he walked out, leaving Amara standing there, her body still trembling from the sensations he had stirred within her. She wondered what had gotten into him. Why he would touch her that way, make her feel such things, only to suddenly act cold and walk away. Trying to gather her composure, she took a slow breath before walking into the shower to freshen up. Amara walked to the living room and found him sitting there, busy on his laptop as usual. She sat beside him, watching him click away as though nothing had happened between them moments ago in the bedroom. She wondered how he managed to do that, ignore emotions and feelings so easily. She questioned if his heart had never wavered at all, despite the intimate moments they had shared that lingered in her mind long after they ended. He glanced at her, then immediately closed his laptop and asked if she was hungry. Amara shook her head and told him she was fine, reminding him that she had eaten plenty during their date. Liwei, still keeping his eyes on her, asked if she was sure. She nodded again, reassuring him. Liwei then told her she was sitting too far away and asked her to move closer. Slowly, Amara shifted beside him. He took out a small gift box and handed it to her. Smiling, she asked him what it was, and he told her to open it. She carefully lifted the lid and found a small digital wristband inside. Curiously, she looked back at him and asked what it was. Liwei explained that it was a tool that would help him find her wherever she was, preventing her from running away from him. Amara paused, her expression freezing as she wondered if he truly meant that, or if he was just that controlling. Sensing the fear in her eyes, Liwei let out a small laugh and quickly told her he was joking. He explained that it was actually a panic button he had made for her, and that whenever she was in danger and needed him, she could press it. The device would notify him instantly on his phone so he could reach her in time. Relieved, Amara smiled and thanked him, admitting that it seemed like a very useful item. Liwei took the wristband from her, gently grabbed her hand, and slowly fastened it around her wrist. She watched him in silence, noticing how protective he was when it came to her, how gentle his hands were even in his dominance. A part of her wished he would express how he truly felt out loud, because it was clear he felt so much more for her. He just never said it directly. He only claimed her through actions. When he finished, he lifted his head, and their gazes locked. His expression was stern as he told her that she must always make sure to wear it. Amara nodded, but he kept his eyes fixed on her, repeating that he was serious. He added that he wanted her to promise with words, not just a nod. Looking into his eyes, Amara told him that she promised she would always keep it on her. Liwei then grabbed her chin, tilting her face up toward him as he leaned in closer, asking how he should punish her if she ever took it off. Amara, her gaze locked on his, shook her head softly and told him she didn't know, but that he could punish her however he wanted as long as it wasn't something bad that would hurt her. Releasing her chin, Liwei smirked faintly. Amara, still looking at him, asked why he liked being so dominant. Liwei remained silent for a moment before finally answering that maybe it was because she looked cute when she tried to resist him, while her body clearly said otherwise. Amara blushed and quickly looked away, avoiding his gaze as she thought about how he could tease and say such flirty things with a completely straight face. Liwei's expression turned more serious. He told her it was also because he had to learn to survive on his own and fight for himself from a young age. He explained that when he was taken away, he ended up in an institution for children who had suffered traumatic experiences, and that he was bullied there. He admitted that he had to learn to be dominant and stand up for himself, because if he didn't, he would have been weak and easily overpowered. Amara watched him as he spoke, her heart aching at the thought of how much he had endured and what it had taken for him to become the man he was now. Without saying a word, she moved closer and threw herself into his arms. Slowly, he wrapped his arms around her. She looked up at him and softly told him that she was sorry he had to go through all that. His expression unreadable, he told her it was in the past. Not wanting to linger on the topic, he added that he had a gut feeling a storm was brewing, and that was why he had given her the bracelet. He told her to be extra cautious, reminding her she couldn't keep doing reckless things like walking away at night the way she had earlier. He explained that even if things seemed quiet and peaceful now, it didn't mean the people who wanted to hurt her had stopped plotting. Amara promised she would be careful. He glanced at her again and noticed she was yawning. Standing up, he told her they should go to bed. They walked away together and soon lay side by side, facing each other, their eyes locked in silence. Their undeniable chemistry spoke louder than words. Amara thought about how he could make her entire body weak just by looking at her, how his piercing gaze alone could pull her closer, without him even realizing it. Liwei, keeping his eyes on her, asked what she was thinking. Snapping from her thoughts, Amara told him she was thinking about how she had always wanted to see snow. She explained that it never snowed where she was from, and that she had only ever seen it on TV. She smiled faintly, admitting that soon she would experience her first snow. Liwei, still gazing at her, told her they would experience her first snow together, and that he hoped by then he would have completed what he was doing. Curious, Amara asked what exactly he was doing, pointing out how he often mentioned his mission, but never explained it. Liwei looked at her, his expression hardening. Not wanting to reveal anything, he simply pulled her closer and told her they should sleep. Closing his eyes, he tried to rest, but Amara remained awake, her eyes still on him. Slowly, he opened his eyes again and asked if she wasn't sleepy. Amara, feeling shy, asked if she could ask him something. Liwei, still holding her gaze, told her to go ahead. With hesitation, she asked why he always held back, why every time they kissed or whenever things grew heated, he would suddenly pull away, as if he didn't want to, or as if he was afraid. Liwei pulled her even closer until her body was pressed against his. Leaning in, his voice low and firm, he asked if she wanted him not to stop. Amara felt her breath stutter, her cheeks heating as she blushed, quickly looking away. Liwei chuckled softly at her shyness. She looked back at him and told him she was just asking, explaining that she had noticed the pattern and was only curious. Leaning in again, he pressed his forehead against hers, gazing into her eyes. With a voice deep and unyielding, he whispered that it was because she looked too innocent for the things he wanted to do to her, and he didn't want to ruin that innocence. Amara, her heart racing, understood what he meant. Unable to control herself, she turned away quickly, visibly flustered. Liwei, now lying behind her, pulled her closer into his arms, spooning her. In silence, he thought to himself that the real reason he held back was because he didn't want to fall too deep or get too attached, though he feared he already had. That was the truth he could never tell her, the words he refused to say out loud. Instead, he leaned in close and whispered goodnight. They lay there together, slowly drifting to sleep, while he continued holding her tightly, as if he would never let her go. The following morning, Amara slowly opened her eyes and glanced over at Liwei, who was still fast asleep beside her, his arms wrapped firmly around her. She stayed there for a while, quietly watching him, thinking about how peaceful he looked when he slept. Reaching for her cell phone, she checked the time and realized she needed to get ready to leave. Just as she was about to get out of bed, Liwei pulled her closer, his eyes still closed. Amara looked at him and reminded him that she needed to get ready, that she had a class, and that she would leave first since they couldn't be seen together. But Liwei tightened his grip, refusing to let go, his sleepy voice murmuring that she should let him hold her for a moment longer. Deciding to give in, Amara stayed by his side, allowing him to keep her in his arms. He pulled her even closer, completely engulfing her in his embrace. Smiling softly at his unwillingness to release her, Amara leaned in and reminded him that she wasn't running away from him, that she was only going to school. Liwei slowly opened his eyes and looked at her, telling her that he just wanted to hold her, nothing more. He added that it was crazy how she made him sleep so peacefully, and as he pulled her tighter against him, he stated that maybe he should kidnap her and move her into his house so he could hold her every night. Amara, blushing, told him there was no need for kidnapping, that she could always come willingly. Glancing at him again, she repeated that she really needed to go. Finally, Liwei released her, telling her that he had instructed someone to bring her new clothes so she wouldn't have to return to school wearing the same dress from the day before. He added that the person should be arriving at any moment. Amara got out of bed, thanking him as she said she needed to get ready. Looking at him, she asked if he wasn't going to get ready himself. Liwei told her he was the university director and that no one would dare scold him even if he was late. With that, he closed his eyes again, drifting back to sleep as Amara walked out. Later that day, after class, Amara made her way through the corridors, deciding to visit Momo at the hospital since she had not yet been discharged. As she crossed the parking lot, the man who was helping Liwei with his revenge, who had been watching her quietly as she walked through the corridors, approached her and stopped her. Amara, startled, looked at him, and instinctively retreated a step back. It took her a moment before she recognized him, recalling the time she had seen him at Liwei's house. The man moved closer, but Amara stepped back again. He quickly told her not to be afraid, assuring her that he wasn't going to hurt her. He introduced himself as Liwei's close friend, Master Shen. Still keeping her distance, Amara told him she recognized him and asked what he wanted. Master Shen remained calm, keeping his gaze steady on her, and told her that he needed to talk to her, something that concerned Liwei. Amara looked at him, hesitant. She knew better than to trust anyone so easily, so she remained silent, studying him. Master Shen, sensing her reluctance, didn't move closer. Instead, he pleaded with her, promising again that he wouldn't hurt her, that all he wanted was to talk. He added that if she didn't trust him, she could choose any public place where people were around, and they could sit there to talk. Amara glanced around, weighing her options. After a moment, she looked back at him and suggested the school cafeteria. Master Shen nodded, agreeing, and told her to lead the way. When they arrived, they sat across from one another. Amara eyed him carefully, wondering what exactly he wanted to discuss that concerned Liwei. Master Shen wasted no time. He pulled out a tablet and slid it across to her, telling her to press play and watch. Amara stared at the tablet, her fingers lingering hesitantly over the screen before she finally pressed play. The video began, showing a much younger Liwei, perhaps 16. His face was hard with determination as he vowed to avenge his family. He swore that from that day forward, he would only listen to Master Shen, dedicating his life to a mission of vengeance. He declared that he would not rest until those who had destroyed his family were taken down and until he reclaimed his rightful place as heir of his family's company. Amara's heart tightened as she watched. When the video ended, she looked up at Master Shen and asked what it meant. Keeping his eyes on her, Master Shen explained. At only 16 years old, Liwei had stood before his family house as it burned to the ground, the screams of his family echoing in his ears. He had witnessed their bodies being carried out, charred beyond recognition. Master Shen told her she could only imagine what such a tragedy did to a boy that young. He confirmed that the video was real and that Liwei's family's deaths had been no accident. They had been killed intentionally. He went on, saying that the video was something he had kept to remind Liwei of his purpose, to ensure he never strayed from the vow he made. He explained that he had been a close friend of Liwei's father, and just days before his death, Liwei's father had confided in him, expressing a gut feeling that something terrible was about to happen. He had entrusted Liwei to him, asking him to guide the boy should anything happen. After the tragedy, Master Shen said he could not sit idly by. He had made it his duty to help Liwei seek justice, and together they had begun planning 10 years ago, when Liwei was only 16. Now, after all these years, Liwei had returned to China to put their plan into action. He reminded her that Liwei had vowed never to allow himself to be distracted. Leaning forward slightly, Master Shen's voice lowered. He told Amara that he knew she loved Liwei, and that Liwei loved her. He admitted he believed in love, in seeing people happy together. But he stressed this was not the right time. Just by being in Liwei's life, she had become his greatest weakness. Their mission was dangerous, and one small mistake could cost them everything. If enemies discovered her connection to liwei, they would surely use her against him. And deep down, she knew liwei would abandon the mission for her if it came to saving her life. Amara sat frozen, listening, her mind struggling to process everything. For the first time, the vague mission liwei often spoke about had taken shape. It was vengeance for his family, not just work matters as she had thought. Master Shen told her that if she truly loved liwei, she would understand. His mission was far more important. He had to get justice for his family, reclaim what was his, and honor the vow he made as a boy. He asked her if she was willing to let all of that crumble, to let him lose his chance, simply because of her. He begged her to let liwei go for now, promising that once the mission was complete, they could continue their love story and he wouldn't interfere. But for now, their love was a distraction, one that was pulling liwei away from the bigger picture. Before she could respond, Master Shen acknowledged that he knew she was in danger and that she was being hunted. He promised to protect her, assuring her that one of the reasons liwei stayed close to her was out of the need to protect her. He vowed that if she let liwei go, he would personally ensure her safety so she wouldn't have to worry. Then, in a sudden move, Master Shen stood from his chair and went down on his knees before her. Amara startled, quickly telling him there was no need for that, but he stayed there, bowing his head as he begged her to please let liwei go. He said that as liwei's master, the one who had guided him all these years, he could not allow their plan to be ruined. At that moment, she was the only one who could help. Amara urged him to get up, and he finally stood, sitting back down beside her. She looked at him, conflicted, and asked why he was telling her all this instead of speaking directly to liwei. Master Shen sighed and told her liwei was stubborn, too deeply involved with her already. Convincing him would be impossible. At that moment, she was his only hope. Her mind raced, the weight of everything pressing down on her. After a long silence, Amara told him that she would have to talk to liwei first. It wouldn't be right for her to make such a decision without him. Master Shen studied her for a moment, then finally rose to his feet. He told her he respected her choice, but reminded her that the decision she was about to make would either destroy liwei or bring him the peace and justice he needed. He said the ball was in her court, and if she truly loved liwei, she would know what to do. Thanking her for her time, he turned and walked away, leaving Amara sitting there, her mind in turmoil. Everything she had just heard echoed inside her, the truth settling heavily. For the first time, she realized that when liwei spoke of his mission, he had never meant business. He had meant vengeance.